What's up, Tampa? It is May 22nd. For those of you just joining us, welcome to Tampa Talk. I'm John.
And I'm Dahlia.
All right, what are we talking about?
Well, this week we've got major updates on the Rays Stadium proposal, a teacher fired after a disturbing classroom incident, and changes coming to Tampa Police pursuit policies, as well as some growing concerns about fire response times across the city. But first, for this week in the work, I actually kind of want to take the time to thank Lindsay out loud on Tampa Talk.
Thank you, Lindsay.
For those of you who don't know, Lindsay has been serving as our community resiliency specialist for the past year. And prior to that, has done a ton of work in Tampa with the Timothy Initiative and Created and any other orgs I'm missing, John?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but throughout the kind of underground network, and she's still doing stuff with Created. I mean, she is incredible.
Yeah. And she's moving. She's moving to Tennessee.
Yep.
And we'll miss her. And we wish her all the best. But I didn't really get to work as closely with her while she's been here, just because she's been so focused on like another side of house.
Yeah.
And yet I have been so inspired by her. And I think that that is really a telltale sign of like how capable and powerful like the work that she does is like, even if you're not like working side by side with her, you can still feel it. So
yeah, I mean, and I have worked very closely with her, and as we get closer and closer to the day, because like this was our, like we just had a meeting, and that will be your last meeting with her,
right?
And then like, you know, next week we'll probably be wrapping it up, and I've thought every single day, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do without her. She is, she's such a amazing collaborator, but also she's just such a beautiful presence in the drop, offering like love and hospitality to folks. It's managerial genius in terms of just like the things that need to go on. And anyway, we're happy for her and her husband. Totally. I'm very not happy for me.
Yeah.
But we also, you know, we're growing our team here, and we knew when she came on. So the reality is I should just have nothing but gratitude about the time we've had, because her and I have known each other, I mean, I don't know, 15 years, and have always been like, wouldn't it be cool if we could work together? Wouldn't it be cool? But we were friends and we worked in similar things, but there was never like a way. I think at one point we even talked about like, should we just merge our orgs? And it was really just, we just want to work together. And then because she was moving is why she was available to work with us over the last year, is because she was moving away. We had a grant doing some resilience work, and how she was able to jump in, and the timing was just such a gift. I mean, I don't think the drop would be there without her. I don't think, like, so many things that we've been able to build. So Lindsay, I don't know if you're listening to this, but we love you and thank you. And for those of you that do know Lindsay, you might want to say goodbye or stay in touch or something like that.
Yeah. For this week in Tampa history, we're bringing it back to May 25th, 1861, when the Florida Peninsular newspaper suspended publication because of the Civil War.
And this actually traces all the way back to Tampa's earliest newspaper history.
The original paper was the Tampa Herald, which first published in 1854 before becoming the Florida Peninsular.
But when the Civil War broke out, publication stopped completely.
And this part is kind of cool. During the war, they literally hid the printing press and type out in the countryside so Union troops wouldn't find it.
Seriously, it's like just such a weird piece of history. Like quick, hide the newspaper in the woods.
Yeah. And I've actually watched a movie, and I'm trying to remember what. It's like a World War II, World War I movie, and they burned down the newspaper factory because like your distribution of media, like against the power, like the person in power is like the worst thing you can do. You know what? Right?
Actually, this is interesting because you're right. And I don't like, I'm not good at like dates and times in history, but like this is because now I think it's airwaves. Like it's like take over the radio, but any kind of like, that's exactly right. You want to take over mass communication tools, which would have actually been newspaper. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And so after the war ended, they brought everything back and resumed publication in 1866.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So for this, our new segment that we brought in last week, our city council spotlight, we're talking about the never-ending conversation about the Rays Stadium.
Never ending. Although, you know, they keep talking like there will be an ending. So the Hillsborough County Commission voted 5-2 on a non-binding MOU tied to a potential $2.3 billion stadium deal in West Tampa.
And elected officials are really emphasizing the phrase non-binding.
because technically this doesn't finalize the stadium. It just keeps negotiations moving forward while county leaders continue sorting out the funding questions.
Kind of like exactly what we were talking about.
I know, it's like, let's not get carried away.
But the framework being discussed includes nearly $1 billion in public funding, which is why emotions are kind of all over the place around this.
Public comment was incredibly divided. A lot of business owners spoke in favor of the project, saying it could generate jobs, tax revenue, economic activity.
And other people, residents mainly, argued community investment tax and CRA funds are not intended for stadium construction and should go instead toward infrastructure and community needs.
Yeah, several speakers said something this large should probably go directly before voters instead of being decided solely by elected officials.
So the conversation continues about the Rays Stadium. It will never end.
We will come in here with our walkers and be like, so there's progress in the
we're going back to Ybor now.
Stadium. All right, so this is a major local story this week. A Hillsborough County middle school teacher was fired after a very disturbing incident involving a black baby doll hanging by a noose in the classroom.
A video from the classroom went viral early this week. It sparked immediate outrage from parents and the community. And it was an image that showed this.
So the district moved quick. The teacher was terminated immediately, and the incident has now been referred to the Florida Department of Education.
School officials say counselors and administrators are continuing to support students and are available for counseling. This next story I can't help but laugh at, and I know it's probably not funny because it's, not funny, but sounds fake until you hear the details.
Yeah, so a Plant City man was sentenced to nearly 2 years in prison after sending fake pizza delivery orders to local judges.
And I guess this is a national intimidation tactic targeting judges where you send pizza to their house.
Like, I know where you live.
I think that's the idea because it can't be about the
have some pepperoni.
Yeah,
you're like, nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I know where you live.
So investigators traced the orders digitally, and prosecutors argued the deliveries were intended as a form of harassment and doxing, which is like to make them known.
Yeah, shows how online behavior can escalate into real world intimidation pretty fast. And I will say that's one thing that's unique about the U.S. I don't know if it's the whole U.S. or just Florida, but in Canada, it's a lot harder to find people's addresses. So like the fact that like you can just go on property search. I mean, I do it all the time and look up somebody's name and see if they own a property and then you get their address.
Yep.
Unless you like submit to be private is like a unique feature of kind of the open source way that the U.S. works versus it's a lot more difficult in other places.
Really?
Yeah, which I think is interesting because
wild access of public record and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so Tampa police have announced major changes to their pursuit policy this week.
And this comes after the deadly Ybor City crash that killed 4 people and injured 13 others.
I think I did this episode alone when this happened.
I was going to say, I don't remember reporting on this.
But it was the car, you remember the car that ran into Bradley's on 7th Avenue?
Yes.
So I was at Bradley's that night.
Oh, wow.
And I was sitting on the patio where the car hit.
Oh, wow.
And I woke up in the morning because friends knew that I went there with another group of friends. And my phone was slammed with messages because I just slept in.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, where are you? Why aren't you responding? But I was literally on that patio. And then I went online and I looked at this crash that took place. So that basically this car had been pursued by the police right up until the archway going into Ybor on 7th. They had tried a pit maneuver to get it to stop. It didn't work. The car was over 100 miles an hour into the thing.
That fast on 7th.
Into the crowd and then literally hit all the tables where we were sitting. I had left 15 minutes before that car hit.
Yeah.
And we had met that night. I didn't see all the names listed of the people that were hurt and killed, but a lot of people were injured and killed. And I guarantee we had met them because we had met everyone on the patio that night and said, hey, we're going to get out of here. We're going to go to the next place. And we had left.
That's scary.
But under the new policy, Tampa police officers can no longer ask another agency to conduct a pursuit that TPD officers themselves wouldn't be allowed to initiate.
The department. So was this like a sheriff Tampa multiple? Because like why?
I think there might have been a highway patrol.
Gotcha. So the department also removed portable radios that had been provided to FHP during Florida Highway Patrol. Yep, during joint operations.
Yeah, I mean there's still a lot of reflection happening on these how high speed pursuits can be handled in dense urban areas, and this was a a seriously horrific one. And even as they were talking about this in the news this week, they released like a less edited version of the helicopter footage. And I'm like, it's just terrible.
I can't even imagine
bad.
get up to speed like that on 7th. You know, that's the crazy part.
No, yeah, they came down off the interstate. They came over from like Nebraska. So it was like from Nebraska to there. It was Florida hauling butt down that road. And then right as you go under that archway, they came in at 100 plus.
Yeah, I guess coming in the other side, that makes a lot more sense.
And slid through the patio where everyone sits and hit the pillar in there.
Yeah. Wow. That's scary. Goes to show you how like weird timing is, like being there 15 minutes.
Well, I was like, what do you make of that? Yeah. Nothing, but also like that would have been that.
Yeah. And I mean, you hear that story a lot. Like, with 9/11, like my grandparents went to New York and visited the Twin Towers like 3 or 4 days before 9/11 happened. And like you hear a lot of those stories where people will tell you like where they were, you know, and it's just weird how like you just miss an instance,
time
you know?
And chance.
Yeah. Yep. We actually have talked about this a little bit, and I guess it's official this week where Governor DeSantis also signed a bill into government banning local governments from pursuing climate-focused policies.
Puts Tampa's climate action and equity plan into a really uncertain position,
which includes goals aimed at reducing emissions and reaching net zero carbon levels.
But the new state law prevents local governments from implementing net zero style policies.
Yeah, so this plan essentially can't exist right now, or parts of the plan for the city of Tampa.
Yep, or any of the cities and municipalities throughout the state. All right, finally, Tampa firefighters are raising concerns about emergency response times across the city.
And so according to union data, every station in Tampa is currently exceeding the industry standard for first arrival response times.
And in New Tampa specifically, some stations are averaging over 10 minutes.
Which I guess is more than double the national standard.
The union says the city needs more staffing and better resource placement as Tampa continues to grow.
Makes sense.
It does make sense. Now, I want to say we did have to call we had someone that was having a medical incident, and we had to call for a EMS, but which is the fire department that would come over at the drop, and they were there in less than 60 seconds.
Oh, wow.
But they are,
I was going to say,
they are catty corner across the street. They like literally pulled out and pulled in. I was like, this is convenient.
Yeah.
Not what everyone is experiencing.
I know that. I mean, if you just think about the growth, anybody who's lived here for more than 5 years, the density of our city is, I think, quadrupled. Like it is, I think, exponentially grown.
There was an interesting experience, like I'm just thinking over time, where it's like that was already happening somewhat, and travel times were expanding and traffic. And then when COVID hit, it was like, because I was still out and about, we worked through that whole thing, and all of a sudden travel times like reset. Like you can get anywhere quick. Yeah, there's no one out here. But then because everyone started, since COVID, that the numbers skyrocketed, and so it was like, it felt like a reset, but then it like went way greater with the travel times. Yeah, it really is a big difference.
Totally. So I can only imagine, I mean, that population density means that we need more, you know.
So even with sirens, it's like there's only so much you can do to get through dense traffic.
Yeah. No, I had a buddy visiting, and he hasn't been back in Tampa for 6 years. And he was like, I'm going to go out to Clearwater Beach. So what do you think? 45 minutes? I was like, not these days.
To get over the bridge once you get there after your 45-minute drive. Yeah.
And he's like, no, come on. It used to take like 45 minutes up from by USF. And I was like, yeah, you're not going to get there in 45 minutes. Like if you go in the middle of the day, you'll probably get there in 55 an hour, but to like avoid traffic hour. Anyways, and he's reflected on it now, and he's like, wow, it is crazy. He's like, you could just used to be able to do whatever you want in Tampa. Like the, distance in the middle of the night was the same.
What we got going on around town?
So over at Carrollwood Players Theater, Lady Windermere's Fan by Oscar Wilde is on. And so it's $20 a ticket. Shows are going to be Friday, May 22nd at 8, Saturday, May 23rd at 8, and Sunday, May 24th at 2. And this is a Oscar Wilde farce which explores the Victorian world of London's high society.
By the way, so it's $20. Everything Oscar Wilde does is genius. I said this last time we announced on this. I really do want to try to get out there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I'm like, I just feel like if this dude wrote it, it's not. I don't know this play in particular, but I know a lot of his plays, and he's.
I know
genius.
Lady Windermere as like a character. I didn't realize there was a whole book about her. I've read something with that name.
Play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Plante Palooza, is that how you say that? Plante, is happening over at Keel Farms on May 23rd from 5 to 9. It's a free event for all plant lovers, and you can explore things with plants. So local vendors, shop goodies, and some small businesses out there from 5 to 9.
It does have an AE, but it feels like it should be Planta
Palooza.
It just rolls off the tongue better. I don't know.
And then finally, I wanted to share this and kind of give a sneak peek into maybe some future episodes, but on Thursday, May 28th from 5 to 7:30 p.m. over at the Foundation for a Healthy St. Petersburg Center for Health Equity, there is going to be a panel called Farm to Table, How Food Shapes a Thriving Community, where one of our own, Monica Petrella with Homegrown Hillsborough, will be one of the guests. We'll also have Emmanuel Rue with 15th Street Farm, a gentleman with the... oh man, I'm forgetting all the other panelists. Anyways, the Tampa Bay Times.
Monica's what matters.
Yeah, that's what we're asking. We're asking you to go support her. But it is really cool. It's being co-hosted by the Tampa Bay Times. So I think it's an awesome that like people are paying attention to food in this way. And the sneak peek is that next week will be my last episode for right now, because I'm going to be out for some time, and Monica will be taking over the show with John for the next couple weeks.
We're excited to have her on. So that's Monica Petrella. Do you want to give a little bit of a sketch of who she is? I'll let her introduce herself when she gets here.
Yeah, I mean, we work with Monica. We do a lot with Monica, but Homegrown Hillsborough is our project that is in partnership with the county, specifically Hillsborough County Extension Office and UF-IFAS.
Yep.
And so WellBuilt.cities and the Extension Office have locked arms under Homegrown Hillsborough for like 4 years now.
Yeah. It's
and
incredible.
As a result, we work really closely together. She's a supporter of the Well. She is a new mom and really active in our community in a lot of different ways.
And I always just love talking to her, and we don't get a ton of time to hang out because, like you talked about, when I'm working with Lindsay, you're working closer with her a lot of the time. And we've done some stuff over the years. I remember it's like, I think the longest conversation we've had was the fireside chat we did together when we were doing those. But I'm really excited just to have this time together, and I think you guys are gonna love her as a co-host. But we'll be excited to have you back. But she might be in here competing for your job.
I actually think it's really cool to have a different host too, just to see how that like shapes. And like, I'd love to have guest speakers more. You know what I mean? Yeah. And this is a unique opportunity to kind of like test that out and see what it's like to have a different host on here. But the more and more I hear people say they're listening to Tampa Talk, which Monica is one of our listeners too, which is cool.
What's up?
And the other day I was at the drop and I introduced myself and they said, "You do Tampa Talk with John. I listen every week." The more and more I hear that.
Yeah. I hear about it a good amount too.
Yeah. I love to think about like, how can we develop the show? How can we get different voices on it? It's a lot of the time just like us riffing and, giving you the local news. And I think being able to contrast it to somebody else is going to be a cool way to reflect on what the show is. So thanks, Monica, for filling in. And
thank you.
Hope you guys like it.
Are you able to say why you're going away?
Sure. Yeah, it's not a secret.
So why are you going away? I know why you're going away, but do they know why you're going away?
I'm getting married, so I'm going to Toronto to get married, and then on my honeymoon.
You going some cool places?
I'm going to Turkey, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've always wanted. I never, ever, ever was the kid that was the little girl that was like, I want to get married one day. But I was like, married means honeymoon, and I want to go to Turkey for my honeymoon, which is probably weird. But
I am really excited for you. I'm happy for you. We opened up talking about Lindsay going away. There is a very close overlap with her going away and then you going away for this amount of time. And I am not happy about my June. I'll just tell you guys that. But I'm happy I'm gonna be doing this with Monica. It's gonna be a great time. But I'm gonna.
And it is. I was reflecting on that today with John Davis, and there's a time where like this wouldn't have been literally that many people.
Be like, well, that was that. Yeah.
To go away.
No.
So it is going to be cool to even just see. Does it all work, right? Like so I think sometimes we spend a lot of time doing the work. You wonder if like it could all exist without you, and the answer is yes. And it's like, let's put it to the test to some
There's always things where the answer is no, but ultimately the aim is that the answer would be yes.
Right.
Yeah. There are things that will be left undone if you don't return.
Yeah.
But also like the thing we're building is to go. We want more owners taking on this work so we can pick up where each other leave off. And
yeah, so it's like a good test. So yes, June might suck a little bit, but it's also a good like case study for like where are the weak points and like my leadership, right, and management of other people. And if things fall apart because I'm not there, it's like maybe I'm not actually doing a good job.
Well, we've been saying at the end of every episode as we kind of go through the things, we always remind you guys that we will be out at Harvest Hope Park sharing groceries with the Kinship Mobile Free Market from 10:30 to 11:30. And we say that every week. But the reality is we
will
often not be there. Yeah. We collectively as an ecosystem will be there. But there was a time when it was we showing up every Friday morning and doing that. And this is like kind of illustrating that point. But to remind you, we will be out there if you guys need groceries or you just want to swing by and check us out. We will be there. And then some of us will also be at the Ybor Street Community Garden from 3 to 5, kind of getting our hands dirty in the garden if you want to come out and join us there.
Yeah. So please comment, rate, and share. You can find us at tampatalk.xyz or wordonthestreets.xyz if you want to have the physical newsletter and give us feedback.
Physical newsletter.
I guess.
In your inbox. It's not one of these.
Newsletter.
I would love us to have a printing press, but someone hid it in the woods or something.
But yeah, we always want feedback on the show. And that's what, has created these new segments over time and, is why Monica's joining us. And so let us know what you think.
All right, guys, that's what we got for you this week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Until next time.
Y'all be good.